Coming up on today's Locked On Senators. After a disappointing 6-3 loss to Edmonton, Pilsy and I are going to shovel one last piece of dirt on the coffin of a 1-4 road trip.
And we'll put our business tinfoil hats on as Ryan Reynolds, part owner of Mint Mobile, sees his company sell to a bigger one.
$1.35 billion. What's he going to do with that cash? Gary Bettman says the Sens sale will be done in a matter of weeks. His interview also clarified a couple critical dates on the NHL calendar. All that and more, and it's all brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. It's the official sportsbook of Locked On. Visit them at FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started today. This is the Locked On Senators podcast. It's your team every day.
Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
I'm Jake Sanderson, and you're listening to Locked On Senators podcast.
I'm Tim Stützle, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
And welcome to episode 756 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan on the outskirts of enemy territory in Winnipeg, Manitoba, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains. Please remember to like the video, click the thumbs up below if you're watching on YouTube, or hello if you're listening on any audio podcast platform. It's your team every day here on Locked On Senators. Today is Wednesday, March 15th, and Pilsy, there's no place like home for the Ottawa Senators.
Oh my God. I mean, it can't be any worse than the road for this team. I'm so excited that the boys are coming back to the CTC, even though, Ross, it's tough to be excited when you're welcoming the reigning Stanley Cup champions, but
we'll wait until our preview episode tomorrow, but that team is not playing at a Stanley Cup level right now.
You'll love to hear that.
Give us Vasilevsky. Never again. I mean, Brian Elliott,
we won't do that.
Brian Elliott's like 10-1-2 against Ottawa in his career.
Former Senator, of course.
Exactly. But we'll get into that preview tomorrow. We got a busy show today because, I mean, the news that came out with Ryan Reynolds, we touched on in the intro. We're going to dive into that one a little bit later on. But Pilsy, 6-3 loss to Edmonton. Connor McDavid has a goal and an assist, although it was an empty netter in this one. Leon Draisaitl with 2 goals, including his 100th point of the season, joining Connor McDavid, who's now up to 129. We talk about how great Tim Stützle's season is, 73 points right now. Connor McDavid has that many assists this season. Absolutely ridiculous season for 97, but it was really the Ottawa Senators that shot themselves in this foot. I thought they could have won this game easily.
You thought they could have won this game easily?
They convert on that power play at the end, at the start of the third period. I mean, you're looking at it. It probably ended, though, at 0.4 seconds left in the second.
That was it. But that was the TSN turning point.
Even at that point, the Sens had trailed multiple times in the game, but I still had hope when it was 4-2 Edmonton, because we know Edmonton loves playing these track meet, high-scoring games, and we were promised that when Ottawa's power play broke their 0-for-20 slump, that they would blow up. They went 0-for-4 afterwards.
Yeah, whoops. I mean, they got one, and Ross, they didn't have a shorthanded goal scored against them. They scored a shorthanded goal. So we didn't discuss keys to victory, Ross, for strict reasons. I never thought this team was going to win this game. Even when it was 2-2, I didn't feel that confident. We talked about keys to improvement. The keys to improvement were do better on the power play. They did. And have a meaningful third period. They didn't quite get that one.
They were so close.
So close.
But when this game was going, like, I didn't see the Oilers as this juggernaut that was able to come down and dominate them. I thought Ottawa kind of shot themselves in the foot a couple times, especially early. We're not going to get on Mad Sogard too hard. I don't think it's fair for us. This guy just played his 10th start of the season. He's got 20 AHL starts this year, so he's been thrown into a position that I don't think is maybe fair right now for Mads. 9 starts now, 10 games, because he came in relief of Anton Forsberg after in that loss to Edmonton, ironically, when they were in Ottawa earlier on in February. But man, it's tough right now because those first 2 goals you probably look as a bit of deflators, especially the second one that just trickled past the line. Chychrun was so close to grabbing it and pulling it out, but that's one that Mads is probably looking at the video and saying, yeah, I should probably have that one.
Yeah, the second one I don't love, Ross. The first one, I mean, it's Derek Ryan, so not exactly the guy on the Edmonton Oilers. You're like, this guy is going to be an issue. But at the same time, the defense lets him get in all alone, and he goes basically bar down. Like, there's no chance for Sogard on that one either. So there was a couple goals like the Draisaitl ones. I think that the second goal was a Draisaitl one, right? That's one that slips through.
Stand on it.
Yeah, and then Draisaitl's second goal, I think maybe Mads Sogard would like another look at that one. But other than that, I don't blame him that much. And this is the issue. Like, young goalies, like, the pressure being put on these guys. Like, if he was backing up Cam Talbot and he had to get in a game once in a while, I think that's one thing. But he's now the number 1 goalie for a team that has playoff aspirations for the first time in years. That's a lot to put on a kid. And we talked about it before the show, Ross. He actually made a handful of really big saves. Like, that glove save on Evan Bouchard was incredible. He even put a little extra on the windmill there. I mean, you can't blame a goalie for that. And then he had a great save on Evander Kane on a breakaway. He tries to go 5-hole on the big tendy, and he shuts him down. So there was multiple opportunities. Even Connor McDavid got in tight and tried to go upstairs above the shoulder, and he got the shoulder up. Like, there were so many good plays from Mads Sogard here. In no way am I blaming this on him. No way.
No, that's fair. And you look at the numbers, it was 27 saves on 32 shots. He allows 5 goals. The empty netter made it 6 goals. But really, this is a team issue. This is beyond what any goalie can do. The Ottawa Senators, it's not a recipe for success to be giving up 4-5 goals every game on this road trip. Like, even the win, they gave up 4 goals.
And 4 unanswered goals, might I add, Ross. Like, and this is the issue. Like, I hate bringing up the Chicago game, but the issue with the Chicago game was it was so easy for those players, like a rebuilding AHL roster, to get behind the Ottawa Senators defense and create odd man rushes. The Edmonton Oilers were doing that all night as well. I just talked about Evander Kane breakaway. Connor McDavid, he's going to do that, so I'm not too upset about that. He gets around them easily. Derek Ryan in all alone. Like, there were so many opportunities for the Edmonton Oilers to bide their time. The Bukestad, that's a perfect example. Like, he just slips right through the defenders. 3 controllers die on that play, and they're just like, the clock will help us out. It'll buzzer before he gets his breakaway goal here. And there's just no kind of, I don't know if it's effort, Ross, or just the way they're setting up positionally and their gaps, but there's no kind of sturdy defense to stop players from making that breakout pass and springing a guy on a breakaway. So it's not on Sogard. Like, if he's constantly dealing with these partial breaks and full breaks, there's only so much a young goalie can do.
Nick Holden's gap control might be the worst on the team. Like, there were a couple times, even in the third period, where the puck was coming out to his side at the blue line, and instead of, like, he had so much time to step up and just chip it in deep at the very least. Instead, he's like, do I go back? Do I go forward? And then ultimately he's flat-footed going backwards as well, and he just gets blown past. His bad pinch in the neutral zone created that 2-on-1 and put Brandstrom in a bad situation on the Derek Ryan goal, the opener of the game. Just mental mistakes, it felt like, on the defensive court. Even like Artem Zub has his giveaway at the start of the game was just absolutely atrocious. Just put it right on a tee. Even like DeBrincat tried to do a backhand saucer pass right into the crease. Did you see that one in the third period? Like, no. I don't know what he's trying. It was absolutely horrific. And I was just like, what are we doing here? Like, off the glass and out, or at least skated out of the zone. It was off of that good glove save where Draisaitl was in tight and tried to go upstairs and he made the glove save. Dude, watch DeBrincat on that chance. Like, absolutely no clue what he was doing defensively on that play. And all in all, just, it's unfortunate, but like you said, this was probably one of the losses that you more so expected going into this game. Now, we will say there was a bright spot, and it seems to be a continual bright spot for the Ottawa Senators, and that's Tim Stützle. Even though the Sens lose 6-3, he's got 2 goals. He gets his cookies. The Senators are 1-4 in their last 5 games, and Stützle is still putting up multi-point game after multi-point game. I mean, it's incredible to watch. He passes Daniel Alfredsson most goals by an Ottawa Senator in their first 3 seasons in the NHL. Like, so impressive for Timmy to continue, even in these tough circumstances, to get points on this road trip, including the game where they got shut out in Chicago. So no points for anyone there. Stützle with 7 points on this 5-game trip.
Yeah, he's managed to stay consistent, and I think he's really kind of found a rhythm to his game where even if the team is struggling, he's still able to produce points. And Brady Tkachuk had a better game, which was really nice to see because he had been in a bit of a slump here. And I mentioned in the postcast, Ross, I thought Drake Batherson really improved this game. Now, that's a low bar because he was not very good at all in the last couple of games, but it looked like he had a different mindset and the effort level was certainly there.
Something I saw on Twitter, I think it was Steve on Sens that brought this up, but he has trouble receiving passes. Hey, like, do you notice that? It seems to bobble on him all the time. Maybe that's not the biggest issue, but something that I've got a big problem with, and this might be a reason why the power play hasn't been as successful. He makes a lot of low percentage passes from down low. Like, he's giving the puck away often in the offensive zone and just turning it over. And not only that, he's giving away the puck in places where the other team doesn't just chip it out. They're able to have time and space, and they just skate it out and kill off 15, 20 seconds.
Yeah, I don't know what it is with Batherson this season, Ross, but like he seems so gun shy. Like he's like we had a couple times, I forget what game it was, but there was 2-on-1s where he's stopping up and passing to the trailing guy. He's drop passing it. Like he's doing anything he can to not shoot that puck, and he's only shooting at a 9.6% clip this season. So he hasn't had that much success shooting it, but that's a guy with a good shot. I'd rather him take a shot that maybe he's not confident is the best scoring opportunity, but just get a puck on net rather than make a low percentage pass or try to force something. So yeah, I think there's a lot of kind of weird things going on with Batherson, but I thought he played better last night. And that assist that he had to Tim Stützle, that was a great example of using his strength. Like Batherson's a big guy now, and he uses one hand to push off the defender and then leads the puck with his other hand on his stick right to Tim Stützle, and he fires it in. So that was a nice play by Drake.
It was very nice play. Would you consider putting him on the point on the power play? Not the top guy, but one of the others. Remember, he did that in Belleville, and he did it pretty well.
Yeah, that's fair. I think if Josh Norris was back, then I would consider doing that, Ross, because that was a big reason why that power play was successful too. Him and Josh Norris worked really well together. So if you get Josh Norris back and you get some of that Belleville mojo, maybe. But I mean, with this power play, I'll try anything at this point.
Very fair. One thing we do have to remember, and I'm not a big excuses guy, not a big fan of that, but the Senators last night, without their number 1 goalie, without their number 2 goalie, without their number 1 defenseman, without their number 1 center. But how many times can you say that? Because Norris is out for the year. You kind of have to adjust. And if Dorian thought that it was that big of an issue, hey, Nick Bukestad scored that goal last night for Edmonton. He was available for a 3rd-round pick at the
Hey, come on. Patrick Brown had an assist. Let's take it easy here.
Yeah. He was right down there with Dylan Gambrell and expected goals percentage there. Said stand out last night.
I was going to say Dylan Gambrell had a great assist yesterday. My goodness.
He certainly did. I thought he held on to that puck a little too long. And
so did I. I was like, Gambrell, you are not going on a 2-on-1 and trying to shoot this with Tim Stützle on your side. You cannot be doing that. But that's the thing. He timed it out. He made it so that everyone thought he had to shoot. And then, those silky mitts on Dylan Gambrell, he's going to get that pass through.
Hey, 5 assists on the season. And I want to say like 3 of them were highlight reel material. Remember the one on Drew's goal in Boston?
Big time. Yep.
Hilarious. He even had that 3 assist streak going. No points since until last night with the assist there as well for Dylan Gambrell. All right. So the Ottawa Senators are coming home. No practice. Nothing today. Go see your families. It's been a long, tumultuous week and a half on the road for the Ottawa Senators. Hey, moment of silence for everyone. And there were a few we saw on Twitter that did the entire Western swing with the Sens that went to Seattle, Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton. That's a fun trip, it seems like, but only to get one win. That's tough. So credit to anyone who
Oh,
went
I was
out.
giving a moment of silence there, Ross.
I know, so was I. It was
Okay.
just a little brief.
Just a quick one, yeah. Yeah, and that's especially a tough road trip in the winter like this. Like, that's some heavy driving, and you're not getting the best conditions on the road if you're driving to all those. So those people are true Sens fans, warriors.
100% agree with that one. Coming up next, we will get into some off-ice information coming out from Gary Bettman, who's speaking to the media this morning, and then we'll wrap up today's show looking ahead at what's to come for the Ottawa Senators, who have, according to The Athletic, the most difficult strength of schedule in the entire National Hockey League. The Sens game day tomorrow against Tampa. They'll skate in the AM, and we'll be here to break it all down. Hopefully, some more news on Thomas Chabot. Could he be back in the lineup? All that's coming up next. You're listening to Locked On Senators.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. FanDuel is the trusted sportsbook partner of the Locked On Podcast Network, and for a good reason. They are America's #1 sportsbook, because new customers, you get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. Yeah, $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. And you can bet on everything from money line to point scoring to, if you're watching basketball, to how many threes are going to get drained. You can do whatever you like. And with a same game parlay, you have a chance to combine your bets for a bigger chance at a bigger payout. You got to check that out. I know Pilsey's parlay of the day isn't always successful, but I did have some success on some parlays in last night's Sens game. So that's why you can't miss any of the action, because FanDuel is the best spot to get your sports bets in. So don't miss your chance to get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Today's episode is also brought to you by Shawarma Palace. You know we love our friends at Shawarma Palace, and they love the Senators just as much as you and I. They were sending Matthew Hall is going to be going to the Ottawa Senators game tomorrow on Shawarma Palace. Shawarma Palace is the only place to dine in Ottawa when you're looking to get full and feel great doing it. It's healthy, all great ingredients at Shawarma Palace, from the pickled turnips, which were lighting up the chat last night, by the way. The pickled turnip revolution is here. And then we have the chicken. Obviously, extra garlic is key when you get your Shawarma Palace. Whether you get it on a platter or in a wrap, you are knowing that you're supporting local, you're supporting people who love the Ottawa Senators, and you're getting a great bang for your buck. I'm telling you, it's literally more economical than going to the grocery store. So check them out at any of their Ottawa locations, now open in the Saint Laurent Shopping Center. So you can find them in the Centertown area on Bank Street. You can find them on Rideau Street. You can find them in Orleans and in the Carleton University Food Court. It's all available for you at Shawarma Palace. Go get one. Change the vibes. The Sens are at home. Get some home cooking. Go to Shawarma Palace. Visit them at any of their locations today. Eat like a royal at Shawarma Palace. And we'll talk to you tomorrow, because Sens game days taste better at Shawarma Palace. All right, Billsy. Thank God we're done with the late starts this season. I am so over it.
No more, Ross. Like, when I'm consistently cracking full tall boy energy drinks at 9 p.m., that is not a recipe for good sleep. And especially, Ross, when we have to cover losses in the postcast. We love doing the postcast. Don't twist my words here, but when it's consistent losses late at night, they never said podcasting would be this hard, Ross.
No, it doesn't pair well with 4 a.m. shifts on the weekend either. I promise you that. It's a tough balance, but we made it work. We appreciate everyone for joining us in the postcast. Win or lose, you either vibe or vent with us. And that's how we're going to spin zone that one. Yeah. But we do truly, truly appreciate it. Make sure you're going out, checking out GLEBE Central Pub at St. Paddy's Day this Friday. They're going to have a great banger there. open at 10 a.m. Live music 1:30 to midnight. So go check them out. They're the official sponsor of the postcast that we do after every single Ottawa Senators game. I wonder if we could get Ryan Reynolds out to the Glebe Central Pub sometime, because I feel
Yeah.
that his connection to Ottawa is about to strengthen as I reach over, find my tinfoil hat. But man, this can't be a coincidence, can it?
I mean, I don't know, Ross. We're not business majors or anything, but I've never coincidentally liquidated like hundreds of millions of dollars worth of assets just cuz. And if you guys aren't aware of what we're talking about, Ryan Reynolds, part owner of Mint Mobile down in the US, just sold to T-Mobile for $1.35 billion. Now, I'm not sure what percentage of that ends up going to Ryan Reynolds, but it's going to be a couple hundred million, that's for sure.
Schmilly dollars going
Couple
over.
schmillies, couple sheets for the kid.
Couple sheets. Now, we know he's in a consortium.
Nice, you nailed that. Nailed it.
With the Remington Group, and
Yep.
it seems like in the next couple weeks we're going to know, according to Gary Bettman. But we were supposed to know about the sexual assault allegations, the Hockey Canada thing, within a matter of weeks or months in September. So timelines can get pushed, especially when it's in the best interest of the league, unfortunately. But with this sale, I believe it. I think a couple weeks. Like, how long do you need to go at this point? You know who the heavy hitters are. You know who's serious among the reported 9 groups, according to Sportico, that are making bids. It seems like they're gonna weave through this and get to down to like 3 or 4, and that makes sense because there can't be more 3 or 4 who are seriously interested and able to buy the Ottawa Senators at the price that it seems like it's going to inflate up to. But there's no question that the Remington Group has to be in that finalist range. Otherwise, why would Ryan Reynolds have hitched his wagon to that? He could have picked anybody.
Yeah, again, Bruce Garriock and other insiders are the people to really go for this. But just in speculation, I would say it seems that the Remington Group is in the upper echelon of the teams that could be potential buyers. Ross, I'm not really in a rush for this to happen. I know people are frustrated by the timelines being like, well, in February it's supposed to get going, et cetera, et cetera. I would rather this take a little longer and be done right and have everything sorted out so there's no kind of messy court dates or any lawyers being involved or pushbacks or anything. And plus, while the season's going on, I'm more than happy to chalk up hockey games. And in the off season, Ross, we can become draft and business professionals.
Gary Bettman saying he wants the Ottawa Senators sale to be finalized by July 1st.
Yeah,
but
that you know what, Gary, that works for me. That works for me.
we're gonna know before then, though. That's kind of where I'm at now. July 1st is also when free agency is opening again. So we're back to Canada Day being free agency
Thank
day.
God.
Last year it was July 13th. July 1st. Do you like it or hate it? Let us know in the comments. Like, do you like being at the cookout or at your buddy's backyard, partying, whether you're down at Parliament Hill, if you're at Parliament Hill though, or Majors Hill, you have no service throughout the day. I'll promise you that. So maybe it's not the easiest to check your phone. But if you are at like a backyard, do you like looking at your phone and seeing all the moves, or would you rather have a day to itself? Like even July 2nd, where you don't have so many things going on and having to focus on that as well. I'm curious to know what people think. Where are you standing with that? You like that? It sounds like?
Give me July 1st. Yeah, because that's, I usually don't do big, massive Canada Day things. I'm more a house party barbecue type of guy for July 1st or go to the cottage or something like that.
Shout out Farm to Fork Meats. Great Canada Day accoutrement.
Yeah, that's the play for sure. So it's nice to, you get a ding from TSN or you've got Elliot Friedman or Bob McKenzie on notifications on Twitter and you just let your buddy know, hey, the Ottawa Senators just signed the best free agent of all time, Claude Giroux. That's nice. And plus, Ross, I'm a big sports calendar guy. Like when COVID ruined all the sports scheduling for hockey, especially, that just threw me so out of loop. Like I want July 1st free agency. I want October season start. Like I need that scheduling in my life to properly function. So I'm glad we're getting back on track here.
I got something you can add to your calendar.
Ooh.
April 17th will be the first day of the NHL playoffs. The Stanley Cup playoffs are back on April 17th. So stay tuned for that. May 8th, they're making everyone wait until May 8th for the NHL draft lottery, which if you're a Sens fan, you really don't care about this anymore after the Chikrin trade. However, if you do happen to open up the old internet afterwards and the Senators win the lottery, that pick is top 5 protected, but don't get your hopes up for that. The Ottawa Senators have had their times caring about the draft lottery. That is no more. Then we're expecting the Stanley Cup finals to start around June 1st to 3rd. So June hockey is back, which is going to be great in a big way for the Stanley Cup final. The award show goes in Nashville on June 26th, and then the draft June 28th and 29th in Nashville. Now, we always expect for development camp to start right after the draft, so stay tuned for all that coming up here. We're going to be all over it. Dev camp here at Locked On Sens.
Ross, I'm so glad as a podcast and as a Sens fan nation that May 8th is no longer our Stanley Cup. I mean, the irony there is this team might not make it into the playoffs, so our Stanley Cup, we just won't have a Stanley Cup this year. The draft lottery and the playoffs when the cup is awarded, neither will be involving the Ottawa Senators most likely. But it is just nice that we're not just like get the season over with so we can get our draft capital and we can get excited for that. Because that's what every other March has been as members of the Locked On Senators podcast, Ross. We've been like, okay, March is here, season's over, let's get into the draft. So at least this year, it's not as big, but you guys know we will be covering the draft extensively because we are prospect junkies, especially Ross loves getting into that. So we will have your draft profiles for you. And we're going to mix things up a little, how we do things in the summer this time.
Yeah, because there's no point in doing like a top 50 or whatever, because the Sens are literally not going to get one. We're going to scour through the interwebs and we're going to find who the most Sens draft picks are as well as a part. We might do a top 32 or something just for fun.
So Ross, what you're telling me is we're going to go to EP Draft Guide and just name off the do not draft list.
Absolutely. Hey, how's been doing this year? Pretty good. Pretty good. All right, coming up, let's see what's coming up for the Ottawa Senators. It's a murderer's row of opposition. What is a realistic expectation for them to finish March? We'll take a peek at that. You're listening to Locked On Senators.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Built Bar. Are you looking for a delicious treat? Who isn't? But you don't want all that fat and all the calories, Ross. Then you gotta try Built Bar. It's the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar. And they are healthy while actually being tasty. No, I'm serious, guys. I know maybe you're like, okay, no, there's no way this is true. But they're delicious. You won't think they're good for you. I promise they will fool you. What makes Built Bar so good? Well, for starters, they all are covered in 100% real chocolate. Yes, real chocolate. They have so many good flavors like churro. I love me some churro. Ross, we should have had some more churro when we were down in Cabo. We didn't take advantage of that. But you can go to Built and take advantage of that. Peanut butter brownie, coconut almond. I love it. I'm not sure how Built does it, but these bars taste like candy bars while being amazing for you. Only 130 calories and 4 grams of sugar with a whopping 17 grams of protein. So all you need to do is go to built.com and you can get them right off the website, and they're even available in Walmart. Yes, head to your nearest Walmart and walk to the pharmacy section and get yourself a box of Built Bars. You can pick up a 4-box of cookies and cream, double chocolate, and coconut puffs. Guys, it's Built Bar, the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar.
All right, Pilsy. Senators coming home to take on Tampa tomorrow and Toronto on Saturday, with your birthday in the mix there, right in between. Woo! St. Paddy's Day. Make sure you're going to GLEBE Central Pub and celebrating St. Paddy's Day with the favorite.
And Ross, one of my favorite birthday traditions is watching the Toronto Maple Leafs lose in their St. Pat's jerseys. I Love that. I love that. So I need that on the 18th.
Let's make sure that happens. Hopefully the Sens put forward a great effort. Now, I just pulled up here. You can see that pretty well, eh? Well enough.
Well enough. Yeah, I'll go with well enough.
It's too small font. Should I zoom in on the top guys?
Well, what are you trying to highlight here? Because
this is the Sens stats for the road trip that we just watched.
No, I wouldn't zoom out. You've made it worse there. Sorry for everyone listening.
No, this is why you got to watch on YouTube. Mistakes are natural for us. So we got to make sure this is normal for everyone here. But yeah, I basically want to show that.
Yeah, now we're getting closer. Yeah.
Nick Holden was tied for second most points on a 5-game road trip, and he was healthy scratch for 2 of them. Yeah. That's not going to cut it from a lot of these guys. Brady with just 1 goal in 5 games, no assist, -5. Showed his frustration a lot.
Yeah.
Not much to write home about for the Ottawa Senators on this road trip.
No,
but at least they get to go home, where they have these 2 teams awaiting, and then they head out for a back-to-back at Pittsburgh, at Boston. The only positive spin I can put on this right now is that despite their loss yesterday, the Sens did not lose any ground in the wild card race, because the Islanders lost, the Penguins lost, the Capitals lost, and the Red Wings lost. Everyone in the East lost.
All in regulation, might I add. So, Ross, I know you're trying to spin that as positive, but for me, that's so disappointing because that was a chance finally to make up some ground. And instead, it just stays at a stalemate, and now there's 1 less game to make up those points available in the season. So, very disappointing there.
Still 2 games in hand on the New York Islanders, who hold the final playoff spot. So 6 points out with 2 games in hand. I mean, when you say it like that, it's not as bad, but then when you look at what's to come is just absolutely atrocious for the Ottawa Senators. Like, even just that 4-game bite-sized sample we put out there: Tampa, Toronto at home, Pittsburgh, Boston on the road. And the Senators just simply don't win in Pittsburgh.
No, and then counter that with, or not counter, but add on to that the fact that it's back-to-back road games in different cities. Now, I know Pittsburgh and Boston, it's not that far, but still, you got to add that travel in there, and you got to add both those teams are rolling recently. Oh, man.
Yeah, we'll have tomorrow to preview that game as well. But it's super unfortunate that this road trip, even 2 wins, just 2 more points, they would have still been in that control your own destiny where they're 4 points back with 2 games in hand, right? But it just really felt like they let which loss hurts the most from this road trip?
I mean, this is the easiest answer you've ever thrown to me. That Chicago Blackhawks loss was devastating for me, Ross. I was so excited. My trip worked out that I could go there. I got a hotel room. I bought tickets. I bet plentiful amounts on FanDuel Sportsbook. I even bet the Sens big money to win by -2.5, and they lose 5-0. It was absolutely embarrassing. No Patrick Kane, no Max Domi. That was easily the worst loss of the season in my mind. Not even this little road trip, Ross, of the season, and I was there to witness it.
Yeah. It was not good. Not good at all. You know what? Just to be different, I'll say that Vancouver loss, because I really felt like that was a team. And now they're on the longest win streak in the NHL, by the way, right now, the Vancouver Canucks.
Oh, my God.
Which, I mean, are you putting 2 and 2 together here, though? New coach. Nobody wanted the old coach to go even, but now you get that new coach bump. You really do. And that's something to keep in mind here, as we're not calling for anyone's job, but it is just, you got to kind of look at how bad the players that you expected to be so good have played. Like, DeBrincat was so bad last night again. He's -8 on this road trip, dude.
It's crazy that he's having these difficulties in the biggest season of his career. You move to a new team, contract year, 1 year left on restricted free agency. I don't know what's going to happen here.
It's so strange because anytime you bring up his struggles, everyone just goes so protective of him, and it goes, no, it's DJ Smith. It's DJ Smith. And sure, it might be. And he has had a dip in his production before. He had
Yeah.
18 goals in one season. So he's shown that he can bounce back from a poor finishing season. It's just the timing of it is so tough. And then when you're making bonehead defensive plays like that backhand sauce right to Draisaitl out front, it's just strange. I think it's a mix. I don't think it's all on DeBrincat, but if you're a 2-time 40 goal scorer, you're paid to score goals, and 1 goal on a 5-game road trip, 1 goal, 1 assist. Now it was a big goal. Don't get me wrong, but it was in that wasn't it in the Seattle game? It was the game winner. Yeah, it was the game winner in the Seattle game.
Yeah, but also asterisks on that goal. That goes off a guy's skate and in. So it's not like that's Alex DeBrincat in pure snipe. Yeah, I know, but it's not like that's a confidence booster where you're like, I got my shot back. It's nothing like that, unfortunately. And Ross, this just screams short-term deal for me. Like, there's not a chance in hell Alex DeBrincat is going to sign a long-term deal this year. There's no chance. At the very most, 2 years. At the very most, in my opinion.
I will say he did lead the Sens in shots on goal on this trip. So it's just the finishing that just can't come through. He shot 5%.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Jake Sanderson looked sick at the top of the power play, didn't he?
Yep, he had a good game. I liked his game last night. I think he definitely has kind of shown and will continue to show, I assume, that he can be a guy that can lead that top power play unit and deserves a little more time here.
Jacob Chychrun led all Senators in ice time throughout the road trip, averaging 22.55.
He had a rough night physically, eh? He bumped in, him and Casti collided, then Leon Draisaitl took him out in the corner. He's in a short sample size with the Sens. He's taken on a lot of bumps and bruises.
So what I will say to that positively, and I listened to Bill Armstrong's entire interview yesterday, by the way, on Cam and Strick. Seems like a knowledgeable guy, but he kind of threw some dirt at Jacob Chychrun, saying how terrible he was last year.
I couldn't believe that. Yeah.
It was weird. And then that he requested a trade when it seems like multiple areas have reported that it was them that went to Jacob Chychrun and said, hey, look, we want to move on and we're not going to be competitive for 3 or 4 years, that sort of thing. So kind of a strange move there. And what also got to me is like, he's always injured with something that he said. It's like he hasn't, and that affected the price and what people were looking at bring him in. So I'm spinning this as he's taken some big hits, but he's gotten up on each one. Like that Draisaitl hit, he rocked him. And maybe Draisaitl doesn't get as much credit for his physical game, but that guy's a beast out there. A moose, as Dwayne Norris would say, as he told us what Brady Tkachuk is on this show. But that was a huge interference, probably. Like he didn't have the puck. They were both going for it.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a hit that I don't need to see too often. At least like wait until they reach out. The timing has to be perfect where it's almost like a pass interference, right? Like you're waiting for it to touch the fingertips so that you can smoke them. And it's like, wait until you touch the puck. Like the two guys, they were knowing, and maybe Jacob should have like been aware that the contact was coming because he wasn't. He took all of it. Or maybe he's like, oh, it's a skill guy. Like he's not going to run through me. But like maybe if it was a Vander Kane or someone who's more physically like a Zach Hyman, maybe you're thinking like, oh, he's going to go through me. But he did. But hey, got up, went for, I'm assuming the spotter wanted to see him quick, but he came right back. So I think that's good leadership from him and being able to show that he's able to bounce up. Obviously, scary moment at MSG in game one, right? He went down in the third period, but all in all, like now that he's through 7 games with the Ottawa Senators, it almost feels wild that he's already played 7 games. Like where would you assess Chychrun's games with the Ottawa Senators?
I think he's been pretty good. Like we've seen flashes of real good defending where he's able to break up 2-on-1s. He's able to drive guys wide. I thought in the Columbus game in Seattle, he did a really good job of that. And he's been able to put up offensively. That first goal he got, I mean, Ross, I can still hear that ping of the post bar down and in. That was a beautiful thing. He's got a good wrist shot. Like you mentioned, he's able to kind of get up from physicality. So I'm very satisfied with Jacob Chychrun so far.
And it's almost strange, right? He comes in, they get the road game at MSG. Then they come home. They play 2 games at home quickly. Or sorry, 1 game at home quickly against Columbus. And then he's gone for like 13 days. So it's kind of strange, right? Like, is it good or bad to get out on the road? I think a lot of the players, and Chychrun said at the start, like, oh, it's great, get out with the guys. Like, I think a 2 or 3 game road trip, it makes sense for that. But at some point, you're like, where am I? Like,
Yeah,
he went
honestly.
from being with the Coyotes to being with Ottawa, but then being right back out west in arenas that he's played in way more often, being a part of the Western Conference team for so long. So I think having this day, it's only one day, but a day at home to be like, unpack, eat a few beef hearts, do whatever the heck he's doing, and then get back on the horse tomorrow at the CTC. I'm calling it right now, and not to tease too much into tomorrow's show. I think we're going to see a big 2-game set from Jacob Chychrun. We know the Leafs were rumored to be interested in him. I'm sure he heard that noise. I think especially Saturday, but tomorrow as well, we're going to see a big, big game. One of these two, he's going to take over. He'll be the first star of the game. That's my call.
Nice. I like it. And I don't see why that can't happen, Ross, especially if Thomas Chabot continues to be out. That's a lot of minutes to be had for guys like Jake Sanderson and Jacob Chychrun. So I'd love to see that.
Any final thoughts on today's show, Pills?
Yeah. Final thoughts are that road trip was just so devastating. Like, you look at I believe, Ross, and I could be wrong on this, but when the Senators started this road trip, when they left Columbus, they were at a 28% chance of making the playoffs. I think they're at like a 3% chance now. Like, it's just so insane how quickly the script has been flipped here. And it wasn't that long ago, Ross. The CTC was filled with "we want playoffs" chants.
Ooh, thanks for bringing that up, because that actually reminded me. There was a "we want playoffs" chant last night in Edmonton, and right after that "we want playoffs" chant, which did kind of feel like a knife twister based on how Ottawa left the CTC.
Yeah.
Then at a whistle, they played Song 2 by Blur. They played the Sens goal song, dude. Oh, that's a deep cut.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah, with like 3 minutes left in the game. Woohoo! Yeah, that was tough. But at least they're coming home, and you know what? Run the table, and they make the playoffs, all right?
Woo!
Run the table season. Are they still hanging on, in your opinion, though? Are they hanging on?
Yeah, they're hanging on. They're not sniffing around. They're not first place in leading the hunt anymore. They're hanging on. Like,
how many fingers are they hanging on with?
The first thing that came to my mind, Ross, verbal meme, the Lion King, Mufasa, with the one paw on the cliff. And I don't know who Scar would be in this situation, but I'll give. There's still four fingers on that paw. Like, the pinky is slipped, but you got your 4 fingers still hanging on there.
Does each finger represent like one more regulation loss? Because that almost feels like they have. If they lose 3 more times in regulation, I think they might be okay. But does each finger represent a loss?
Ross, the fingers are represented by the game on the 20th against the Penguins, the game on the 27th against the Panthers,
And one of 2 at home. You can't lose both games when you come home.
Yeah, and the Leafs game. Yeah.
Does it have to be the Leafs? If they beat Tampa, then the Leafs game becomes a little bit less important.
Nah, but it's the Leafs. Like, it's the Leafs. I need to see the Leafs lose in the Pats jerseys, Ross. I need it. So that's a must win for me.
Your first full day as a 30-year-old man.
Yes.
Yeah, you're going to want to see the Leafs lose. That'd be a great way to start.
And the Sens win.
And the Sens win. Hey,
oh
both
my God.
At the same time in this economy? Can you imagine? Hey, this economy's looking pretty good for Ryan Reynolds. Holy smokes. Have a day, Ryan Reynolds. And obviously, we had to put 2 and 2 together here. It's not a coincidence. It can't be a coincidence. Pilsy, 44 minutes into this show, I'm calling it. Ryan Reynolds and the Remington Group are going to win the bid.
Hell yeah. I love that. I think that they are...
They have to be the favorite. Why would he put his entire wagon? Why would he hitch it? His wagon is luxurious. This guy is so rich. Why would he hitch his wagon? He could do anywhere. He could pick and choose and say, no, you're better. No, you're better. No, you're better. No. The Remington Group's winning this bid.
Dude has a luxurious wagon. He's got to be an owner here. I really think they're the favorites, especially Ross. I know I keep saying this. I probably sound like a broken record, but they're real estate development focused. And this is the opportunity of literally the opportunity of a lifetime for a company like that. So
it is the most underdeveloped area, the most valuable piece of land in Canada, I will say. It's literally at the foot of Parliament Hill, and it's a toxic wasteland right now. Like, what are we doing?
I don't know. I don't know about that.
Let us know what rivals.
Putting the Sens arena on a toxic wasteland. What could go wrong?
Hey, once upon a time, it was a nice little neighborhood. It almost had like a Quebec City vibe. You know how, have you been to Quebec City before?
Oui.
Oui. Like right under the Chateau Frontenac, there's like that staircase you go down, and it's like that little like old neighborhood. That used to be LeBreton Flats until a big fire wiped it all out.
Damn.
That was Ottawa Facts with Ross Levitan. Hey, Jamie McLennan, final thought for me. He is saying superstar every time he brings up Timmy, and he was tagged when we had John Abbott on. I'm pretty sure he's doing it on purpose.
No, he's got to be. He's a smart guy.
I love Noodles. We got to get him on. Just timing hasn't worked out. We've been in contact with him. We got to get him back on. Meth will be back from Mexico. We'll get him back on, ask him how his meeting with the cartel went. You know, he's in the Sinaloa region. Like, he's in that area that all the craziness happened when El Chapo's kid got arrested about a month and a half ago.
Meth would travel in a way that would be most not advantageous. Like, this guy's travel stories are always absolutely wild. So I can't wait to see. I thought my delays were bad. You thought your delays were bad. He's going to go through so much. It's going to be hilarious.
We got to give him some credit. This guy was traveling economy. He's got 30 million in the bank. So man of the people there with his kids as well. Three in a row. My goodness. But so we'll chat with him probably next week, and we'll get some more interviews back. But hey, the poll spoke, man. It's a Vibes podcast. The interviews 1% of the vote for the reason why you listen to this show. We will get interviews. Interview season, though, is the off season. The Sens are hanging on by four claws. Wait, these four.
Those four, Ross. Yeah.
The pinky is cut off.
And we are Simba just being like, no, don't fall.
Don't fall out of rhythm with the Locked On Senators podcast. We'll be back tomorrow with a brand new episode for you, previewing a game against the Tampa Bay Lightning. But for today, we say goodbye. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.